Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Marvel. Today we have a fair number of news and rumors, and then the big topic of the finale, the final two episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And so we're going to be diving in and talking about our thoughts on those episodes and the series as a whole, as well as where it might be going after this. So, I'm the Harry Osborn of the operation, Petter, and joining me as always is
As always, everybody, it's Greg, the true grandfather paradox of this podcast.
spoilers.
Yep, tough. I
Immediately
ne
just jumps in.
I did because I needed something and it worked. And this is just no holds barred in this. And so,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, thank you for coming back and listening, everybody. We truly appreciate it, of course, because it makes us feel like we have a purpose in this world. So if you are looking for a way to support us, you can find us on YouTube, our YouTube channel. You can search for 10 Minute Marvel on that and give us a like and a thumb smash there with that subscribe button, please. Find and follow us on Facebook and Twix. Okay. Yep. And of course, you can leave a rating and review wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. I always have a hard time with the Twitter part. So
With English.
with English, something about my morals just gets a little chills when I say Twitter for some reason. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's where you can find us, everybody. We
Yes.
appreciate any feedback, comments, friendly comments, of course, conversations, and all that good stuff. And criticize a little bit. That's fine. Nothing
hmm
wrong as long as it's respectful. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you. So, what is on the dock today, Dr. Petter?
So news and rumors. We're actually going to start with something that popped up. Um, I just saw pop up on New Rockstars X.
Twix.
13 minutes ago. The first X-Men movie is officially in the works at Marvel Studios. That is the focus of X-Men currently, according to Brad Winderbaum. I like how
Hmm.
Brad Winderbaum is now he's out there talking more than Feige.
Yeah. Is Brad Winterbaum the next Feige?
I think it's more so because he's in charge of Marvel television side of things. And
Oh,
so I think with Daredevil Born Again, he's out doing more interviews and even your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I think he was
sure.
doing interviews around that more than Feige shows up for some of the bigger events or movies.
Yeah. He's not like a mini Feige,
Right.
a
Well,
MiFi, mini
kind of is.
MiFi. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, trying to coin a term there, a phrase. It's
Yeah.
failing horribly.
Mhm.
Well, there you go. Hot scoop, huh?
Yeah.
Hot scoop.
Yes. So we'll move then back into the rumors section. I do think it, well, before we move into the rumors, I do think it is interesting that he talks about it that way because one of the rumors is, and this is from Jeff Schneider, the Insnider, that Marvel is developing a large or a live action X Academy series. Um, but that quote there makes it sound like before any shows or anything like that's going to come out, there's going to be movies first.
So you think the X Academy will be first and then shows? Is that what you
No, the X Academy is supposed to be a show.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So
a multi-season show. So, I think that means that if the X Academy is in the works, that's probably several years off at this point, like 2028, 2029.
you think it'd be better if they started with a show? Like as they're tiptoeing into it rather than like that
No.
big leap?
Well,
I mean,
maybe we've had the conversation before. I know that I personally would like them to kind of slow roll out
right.
like some mutant movies, mutant shows, and then at the end of phase seven, give us that Avengers moment of we're wrapping up this first phase of the X-Men. Here's an X-Men movie, or mutants, here's an X-Men movie. That's how I would like to see it done, but I understand from kind of like a financial aspect. Not like Marvel movies are doing poorly, but that it
But are
would
they
be as
doing
if,
great?
right. And are any movies doing great in theaters these days
And that's
is part of the question that needs to be asked, and I don't think studios have a grasp on what it looks like. Like the drop off for week one to week two of Captain America Brave New World is substantial. It's like 60%. And it used to be pre-pandemic that drop off would be 40%. But every movie post pandemic, basically every movie, there's very rare that a movie doesn't have that drop off, with like the exception
Barbie.
Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, is like the biggest exception to that. So it's like there's a lot of things being tossed out there by people who should know better um, around the industry about like, oh, how bad the numbers are without taking and talking about that element of just post COVID.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a brave new world of movie
mhm,
theater or movies out there, right? So
yeah.
I agree. It's a different ball game that's happening. Things have changed again for movies. And what I think could happen though is even though they're seeing and hopefully this is true for all movies that come out in the next, decade, is that they start seeing that drop off get less and it starts rising back up again and kind of
Hmm.
closing that gap because I think Marvel fans, if we were to talk about them specifically, they're losing maybe a little bit of the I don't know that
There's
it's
a lot to
lost.
keep up
Well, yeah,
on.
there is, but it's also like they're feeling a little bit disappointed maybe in what's kind of been coming out and all that, and so
Yeah.
um
Sometimes rightfully so, sometimes because
right, yeah, because it's just not been that great, or they've seen Secret Invasion and it's completely ruined everything for them. I'm just kidding.
right,
That was a really that was a mean jab at that show, but whatever.
it deserved it.
It's well deserved. Yeah. So I'm hoping that maybe Brave New World. It's a good movie. It's fine,
Hmm.
right? And
It's
so
yeah,
it's yeah. You can look at it. There's things that really didn't work, but overall, in
yeah.
my opinion,
I don't
we
think
talked
there's
about this
any.
last week.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that really didn't work about this movie. Anybody who's trying to say, and we even talked about this as part of the conversation. There's some stuff where like, could have been better, or but it was. There wasn't anything like, oh, this makes the movie unwatchable. And I've heard people trying to make that argument for
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, it's completely watchable. And I think that as you get Thunderbolts
Hmm.
asterisk come out, right? I think that is gonna inch that gap, close that gap a little bit more. So
Yeah,
that's my hope anyways. I
yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be on the rise again, especially moving into the X-Men. So
Yeah, well, in Fantastic Four, I think
that's
that'll
gonna be
be
the one that really I think just like makes a
it.
good leap forward in
Yeah,
that gap.
hmm, some good first steps.
Hmm.
But
Nice. Yep.
yes, yeah.
Oh, you got the
So
jokes this week too, huh?
yes, nah, probably not as many, but we'll see. So then, this one's from Daniel RPK. Rumor wise, Shuri is going to appear in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think that makes sense. Um, I know there's been the rumors going around of recasting the T'Challa role,
Hmm.
but that's not going to, you're not going to fully have another T'Challa in the MCU until post Secret War.
Yeah, I agree.
So Shuri makes perfect sense that she's in there.
Sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. See, that was my attempt. Wow.
Yeah.
Terrible. And yeah, I guess I didn't expect her not to show up.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Same. So then this rumor comes from comic book. I'm assuming comicbook.com. But Moon Knight is not planned to have a second season, but Marvel does have future plans for the character.
hmm. Midnight Suns.
Yep, Midnight Suns. I'd still love a second season of that. I think there's a lot of room for a second season with Jake Lockley character.
Oh yeah. I I think if you get some good writing talent in there, not that
Hmm.
the first season was terrible by any means, but I think good writing talent, you have a showrunner that knows what's going
Yep.
on. You could bang out a pretty great second season on that.
Hmm. Second season, third season, even
Hmm.
potentially. Like if because the whole conversation is that Marvel's looking to do, it's been it's been the conversation for a while, but also kind of coming back up again, is that Marvel's really looking to do those 3, 4 season shows.
Yeah.
Probably most things being in kind of that 3 to 5 range, because generally for a streaming show, 3 seasons is the point where you stop getting people back as much. So like the subscription numbers bounce up for Netflix, for example, every time a new season of Stranger Things comes out, but they bounce up less each time.
Do you think that's, to me, that doesn't seem like the writing would cause that. Although I
No.
think that the writing can, maybe it sounds contradictory, but the writing maybe has caused that. But I think that the way you treat your writers and the staff, the way like some of that behind the scenes stuff works, I think, and what an algorithm
Mhm.
shows and
This
some like the
is
stats that they put together, right? I think there it's a little bit kind of foggy on how it's put together. And so it,
mhm.
like it taints the way it's looked. And so then they frame it up as, oh, I'm sorry, three seasons is really what we should only do because that's what the numbers are telling us. But
it.
honestly, you do your writers well, and they will do you well.
Mhm. Yeah, and this has nothing really to do with the writer side of things. This just has to do purely with because how they're judging it is, I mean, some of it's off of views, but it's also off of how many new subscribers you get. And not really how many new subscribers, but for a show like Stranger Things, as an example, again, people sign up for Stranger Things, then they'll drop Netflix if there's nothing coming out on Netflix that they're excited to see until the next time Stranger Things comes around. And so it's like, can you get that spike, that boost of income? And just every time there's a new season, that boost is a little bit less, even though you're losing kind of the same number every time.
Was it Netflix that kind of came out with that whole three season
No,
thing, or was that was somebody? It was
I mean,
somebody that kind of.
I think Netflix has said it, Amazon has said it. It's multiple places or like multiple of these streaming
Yeah, I think it's
services have
caught on
said.
now, but I feel
Yeah.
like somebody kind of started it. Like they saw that
Mhm.
as one of their stats and was like, oh, well, I guess we should really only be looking at three seasons, kind of no matter what. And I mean, I don't know.
It
It just feels like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point a little bit.
Yes. Yes and no. I think the big thing is they can track in between like season 1 and season 2 and see what sort of drop off there is. And you can track all these stats for it. So it's not a hard and fast rule. There's definitely obviously Stranger Things, great example of this. That's on season what? It's going to be season 5
Five. I'll
for
tell you
the
another good example. Severance will be that way.
mhm.
If I bet you that goes at least into its fourth or fifth season,
Yep.
and you will see an. I wouldn't doubt that you would see an increase.
Especially for like the second season.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's got some pretty big hype right now, and I think
yeah.
that there's so much good writing in there that, and there's
Mhm.
so many potential
Yeah,
ideas that
there's
it opens up even in that
mhm.
fourth and fifth season. So
Yeah, and there's going to be outliers to it,
yeah,
and some things are just like Amazon with the Wheel of Time series. They're doing season 3 coming out this year, and that's a huge book series. So theoretically, that one should go well beyond 3 seasons.
hmm.
It's going to be, is Amazon up for that task? And if they aren't, why did they take it on? Uh, so I think Amazon's expecting to do 7 or 8 seasons of that to kind of get through the whole story.
Hmm.
But
I fell off at the end of first season. I didn't get back on for second.
yeah, I haven't watched the second season yet. I need to, and then I need to watch the third. I do enjoy that book
Yeah,
series.
it was pretty good. I haven't
Mhm.
read the books, but I
Yeah,
thought it was still a decent show. So,
yeah. So, anyways,
anyways,
two Spider-Man rumors here. The second one being from Daniel RPK. First one is that Daisy Ridley is being considered for a role in Spider-Man 4. Thoughts on who that could be?
who isn't being considered? I feel like
I, yeah,
it's kind of a
yeah,
fair, I guess. What else,
hmm
gives us something to talk about, so why not?
yeah.
But um, I would sure. I actually
Like,
I
is there
liked
somebody?
her
Hmm
in whatever Star Wars movie she was in.
She was
She
spinning
was
7, 8, and 9.
yeah, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the main character of
Oh, I
all
know
three.
that. Not of, I just didn't think it was there's three of them. I don't know, man. I kind of fell off Star Wars a while back, and I'm
Yeah.
sure people that listen to this podcast probably are now unsubscribing because I said that. But um,
Or they love it.
uh, true, because they,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they agree with me that with some exceptions, Spider-Man, Star Wars has not lived up to its past. Whatever, that's a whole other topic and podcast. But I think this would be a fun choice, and I could not tell you who I think she could be.
Mhm.
Would I like to see her as an X-Men? Yes, I would.
Yep. But if it's Spider-Man 4, is she
Spider.
going? Yeah.
Um,
Are they going to introduce an X-Man there? I don't know that they would.
Did she what okay, so do I want to I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna look up her age because this has been my thing, right?
Mhm.
Of trying to put the pieces together based on their age.
She is 32.
32. Okay. Hmm. 32. Can she play somebody in her late 20s?
Probably.
Probably, right? I would think so. Which Spider-Man is not. So that leaves any immediate, like it's not like a
Right.
family member or something like that, right?
Right.
So it's gonna
Not
be
not going to be Black Cat, I don't think. Not going to be Gwen Stacy.
right. They're just kind of a villain.
A villain? I mean, so the other rumor is that a major actor has been offered the role of lead villain in Spider-Man 4.
Oh,
I don't know that those two are connected. I kind of I guess is Daisy Ridley a major actor at this point? I'm not sure,
yeah, and
but
I don't know where to take that, I guess, because I don't know where Spider-Man's gonna go. I don't know if
mhm,
how did they really they haven't said which way they're going, right, with it.
right.
Are they gonna blend some cosmic and street level? They're gonna keep it street level? I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm struggling on this one. I
Mhm,
think I wouldn't mind seeing her come in though,
mhm.
because I do like what she's done.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, honestly, she could, if Marvel wanted to, and Sony wanted to take another stab at it with Marvel directing some of it, she could do a decent, like, Madam Web.
Okay, I'll be honest, I did think about that, and I was
Hmm.
afraid to say it just because
Hmm.
it's Madam Web and it seems to
Hmm.
be a very taboo topic, but
Hmm.
I do like that, honestly.
Hmm.
I
Yeah. Some people, I mean, have speculated Black Cat. I'm trying to come up with, see if there's anything else, like any rumor idea lists. I was thinking, why can't I think of the character's name? It is, wow, Jessica Drew. There we go. Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. If they wanted
okay.
to bring in a different Spider-Woman and do multiversal something again, I could definitely see that being a solid fit as well. Some others on the list that I found were Captain Britain, Moira McTaggart, if they wanted to introduce that character. Obviously,
I
that's more X-Men.
Yeah, Lady Bullseye. I just looked up what female
Yeah.
villains, right?
Yep.
Yeah, who knows? There's a lot there.
Yep. So then that's it for rumors.
Maybe she'll just be an accountant.
Yep.
Just the accountant, and that's it. Not the Ben Affleck account. I mean, just
No,
like an accountant.
She's the Ben Affleck accountant.
She's the autistic female Ben Affleck from a different universe. They are
Yes.
bringing the accountant universe in with the Sony Marvel universe.
Yes. So let's talk then in news here. Julius Ona, the director of Captain America: Brave New World, confirms, and I put this in quotes, that the post-credit scene is teasing the Illuminati. I don't think it's as much of a confirm as kind of some of the people are tossing out there, but it sounds like they were considering using the Illuminati in the movie and just from some of the quotes that Julius Ona has made before. So
Is it really, is this like new news or is this pieced together from
this
past things of
is,
what they understood about the movie and its create when it was getting created and then
I
what
think, a combination and maybe something a little bit new that he said, but it's, yeah,
it, I
it
don't know.
feels pieced together-ish.
It does. And
It,
because
it also feels like, okay, that's fine. That's
yeah,
cool, but it's not explicitly laid out, so it doesn't have to be that case. if they decide to go in a different direction.
I
Could
feel
just
like
be a different Avengers team. It could be, well, we'll talk about it, I think, actually more next week too, kind of with the main
yeah.
topic.
I just think that it could be if they were gonna put a nod towards the Illuminati, I don't know, it feels like it would be a little more
Clear?
specific. Not
Yeah.
specific, yeah, a little more clear. Like that's
Hmm.
oh, like
Yeah.
they mention
Yeah.
Black
Now,
Bolt or
hmm
whatever, something obscure.
yeah. Now it could 100% be paid off as it being a nod to the Illuminati.
Sure.
But is it like a super obvious direct nod to the Illuminati that people are saying it is? No, I agree. That's why I put in quotes
Yeah.
around confirms.
Circle back on
So,
that next week.
yep. Uh, X-Men 97 gonna have season two premiering in spring of 2026. So that is gonna be exciting to have that. Couple of years in between.
Hmm. I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing, like
Yep.
your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man has been, it's surpassed my expectations for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
obviously X-Men 97 did when that came out. What if?
But,
It was
yeah.
okay. It was fine.
What if is very fun. It's just it needed either to just be very separate episodes or they needed to delay it slightly so that they could have gotten all the correct episodes in the correct
Hmm.
seasons.
Right. But I think we still have Marvel or we have the zombies coming out, we
Hmm.
have Eyes of Wakanda, and
Yeah.
I am feeling like both those are going to be pretty great.
Yep.
So whatever they're doing X-Men 97, even though what's his face is not going to be a part of it.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't know why I can't think of his name, but
Bodemayo.
thank you, Bodomayo, John Malkovich.
Hmm.
Um, then I had to we can't go we can't go an episode without dropping that one, you know.
Yes.
If we get t-shirts ever, it's gonna be with John Malkovich on it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
gonna be like, who's that guy? In
yeah.
being John Malkovich.
Yes. And then just put it's in quotes and we'll pull the actual quote from whatever I said and then it'll
Yeah.
just my name will be below it. And I will bear that shame. So I without Bodemayo, I still think they have the resources to still make this great. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
it to come out.
Yeah, and I know New Rockstars did a video on it a while back. Eric Voss kind of talking about some of the history with Bo DeMaio outside of Marvel stuff, in Marvel stuff,
Hmm.
and then also talking about like everybody else on the team who made this. Sure, it probably funneled through Bo DeMaio, but I think that the idea that he is the one and only creative genius behind this is no.
Yeah,
And so if people are concerned about it that way, it's like I I'm not that concerned about it.
right. Agreed.
So talking about moving some stuff around here on the list,
Oh, okay.
talking about potential other shows coming up. Brad Winderbaum has said both that Marvel is looking to do a Hawkeye season two, and that they are exploring bringing back more Defenders characters.
So first things first,
Yep.
Hawkeye 2. It sounds like they want to find this. However, it's not in they're not in pursuit well, they're in pursuit of it, but they're not making moves with it yet. So
Yep.
that's cool. I
Hmm.
mean, it's not a show that I need, but I did enjoy the Hawkeye stuff and I would like to see some more Kate Bishops.
Hmm.
I want to know more about her mom
Hmm.
and
A character who's going to be showing up in something else. I want to know more about that
yep,
character.
I did sneak ahead on that. I held off though. I want Echo to come back.
Hmm.
So sweet.
And Defenders characters too.
Yeah.
I don't know that they need their own show, but if you bring them back into other things, like if Daredevil Born Again is going to run past season two, which I think it's
Mhm.
probably going to do, then bring in some of those characters and actors for it and
Yeah.
let it go for a little while and or spin off like just do a Defenders show. Like just jump right back into that.
Yeah. I agree. I'm trying to think like, maybe they can actually do something good with Danny Rand, right? Maybe they
Hmm.
could find, they can make sure that that character, I don't know, has a little bit more to it. Or, but maybe they
Yeah.
do, yeah, maybe they don't do an individual show for those things and they just toss them, they sprinkle them in, and maybe they do
Yep.
a big finale show where they all show up together again. But
Hmm.
I'm just trying to think of like
Toss them in,
stories.
sprinkle them in, or it's Spider-Man 5 or Spider-Man 6. Like they're dropped into Daredevil Born Again, and then Spider-Man 6 ends up with this kind of team up, like this ground level team up. Spider-Man finally facing off against Kingpin, for example. And these Defenders characters who have been dealing with Kingpin show up in a movie like that.
I'm thinking like some of the like Jessica Jones. She's got
Hmm.
such depth to her character because she's a troubled person,
Yep.
honestly, right? Luke Cage, you can really dig into some of, I think, the racial issues. So even
Hmm.
like continuing on some of the stuff for like Isaiah Bradley or his nephew. So like maybe there's a connection there that Luke Cage is mentoring, and helping the Isaiah Bradley's nephew, son, not son, nephew. What the hell's his name?
Eli Bradley.
Eli, thank you. Um, and maybe working him into the Patriot kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, and Jessica Jones, like I said, she's already got the depth to her character. So Danny Rand is like, it's the rich kid that's got some special abilities, and that's a little bit more tricky, but
Yeah.
there's, I don't know. Yeah. I just can't, I don't know what to do with Danny Rand
Mhm.
in that scenario.
Yeah.
But that's also based on what Netflix did with them, so it's maybe not really fair.
Yeah. And it is nice because a chunk of time has passed. Uh, what if they say when they introduce Danny Rand again, they're like, or we find out in this Daredevil Born Again that Daredevil was blipped, snapped away, and Luke Cage was snapped away. Jessica Jones was snapped away, and now the only person from that Defenders group who's trying to have to do everything on his own is Danny Rand. You could have had like a fairly seismic shift in that character
Hmm.
just by doing something as simple as that.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Think that's why Marvel pays me large bucks to write their shows for them.
Oh, God, I was wondering how you can afford all those cards.
Hmm.
Okay.
So then it also came out that Marvel has paused work on three different shows. So Terror Inc., Strange Academy, and Nova. And the
Oh,
only one we'd heard about really like actual conversation about was Nova.
yeah. What is Terror Inc.?
I'm not, I think it's Terror Inc. Um, let me double check my because I've
Is that
typed it in.
maybe are they continuing on with like Man Thing and Bloodstone and something like that?
Maybe. Um, Terror Inc. Let's look it up here. So that is a horror comic book series starring the anti-hero Terror, um,
Oh,
Marvel character, an internal entity that absorbs the talents of others through their dismembered limbs.
that is pretty morbid.
Hmm. I I wonder if some of the reason for putting the pause on these shows, and like Benedict Wong was supposed to, so Wong was supposed to be the kind of teacher from Strange Academy, was there with this directive, with this idea of doing multiple seasons, they're reassessing like the feasibility of multiple seasons for those. It's kind of what I feel like they might be doing.
Yeah. Um,
And also, you need fewer different shows if you're doing multiple seasons. So, like, say, Daredevil Born Again, if there's going to be 4 or 5 seasons of Daredevil Born Again, one season per year, that gives us Daredevil Born Again to 2029. You don't need as many shows or different shows.
yeah. I mean, it's weird. Terror is just very left field. And honestly, gathering abilities through taking other people's limbs, I mean, don't we already got that in Gaia? I don't know. Just a
Not
thought.
quite the, not
Not
quite the
quite the
same,
same.
but
Okay.
yeah, I do think it would be interesting to have Marvel do a horror show that goes for like that 3 season kind of arc. But at the same time, I don't think Terror Inc. is notable enough. Like, I think Strange Academy people could get on board with pretty quickly, pretty easily, and Nova people like. So
I mean, is it like, yeah, would this be Marvel's Dexter kind of thing? Where it's kind of
maybe,
that vein, which
yeah.
would be intriguing, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, but it is interesting to me. Uh, but yeah, as it maybe just isn't the time for it with all
Yep.
the other things that they
Yep.
probably want to do first. So,
Well, and I think it hints to the idea that Marvel is potentially going to really hit the X-Men hard
hmm
when they go. And so if they're planning on doing Daredevil for, like I said, a few years, there's been no mention of the Young Avengers Champions show, which I think is still pretty likely to occur. And then that's two shows. That takes up a lot of your real estate
right,
for series during the year, especially if you're having X-Men 97, you're having your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
right.
That's four shows a year already. So,
'Cause that was it, right? You said four shows, three movies. Is that what they do, or is it three
uh,
shows, two movies?
three shows, two movies, animated doesn't necessarily count.
Okay.
So, like, room for another show, basically. And if they're wanting to push X-Men hard, then X Academy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Daredevil Born Again because there's a few new things about this. There's honestly, I think it was a couple new teasers this week for Daredevil Born Again, since that's coming up fast here.
Yes. Was there a couple out there?
There was one that I think had dropped the previous week, just the very end, with some new stuff, and then towards the end of this week, there was that new trailer or teaser.
Hmm, okay.
So I didn't actually take the time to watch them yet.
I watched it about 2 hours ago. One of them, one of the
Hmm.
teasers. Um, and they're pretty short, right? They are a
Yep.
teaser, but it was uh there were some quick action shots and those looked really fun. They looked really good. They looked more in that vein of a comic book. So it looks like I can't say they're gonna have more of the action in there, but what the action they do have, it's on par, maybe even could be better than what they've been doing or were doing in Netflix
Hmm.
series. They've leaning more into Daredevil comic style with his abilities, I think, and just some of the moves. I did notice as well, which I was telling you earlier, Petter, prior to this show, is you get Matt Murdock giving a big old smooch to some woman. And we kind of been talking, we were talking about it, I don't know, a while back, a few weeks back worth, I would say, a podcast about how they were going to do the Born Again.
Hmm.
And is it going to be Karen Page that is interested in? And then she's the one that kind of gives away his identity. Are they going to lean into that? Is it somebody else? Because there was another female character as well. Is this just some random girl because he's totally a gigolo on the side? I don't know. But anyways, there was a woman in the shot. I could not tell if it was Karen Page. Didn't look like her, but
Hmm.
um, it looks like he's trying to balance a lot of stuff. And so it was a good teaser. Really like
Hmm.
the action scenes. So
Yep.
again, if there's more than one, I only saw one. So that's all
Yep.
I can speak to.
Yeah. Actually, there's another new thing that just popped up. I
Oh,
will say spoilers for this. So if you just want to go in with the knowledge that you have from the teasers and stuff like that, this came from an interview with one of the actors. But spoilers, skip ahead like 2 minutes. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers. So, Vincent D'Onofrio has said in an interview that Fisk references Spider-Man in the show.
oh, well, that is a big spoiler. God, I wish I would have taken my headphones off.
No, no, your
I
contract stipulates you can't.
I still don't remember this contract you've been talking about. I feel like I was.
Forged in blood.
Oh, that's where that cut came from. Got it. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, well, that's exciting.
Hmm.
Which then means we're talking ground level,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Well, Daredevil
for
obviously was
Spider-Man
I
4.
was well,
Yeah,
Spider-Man 4, this reference is in Daredevil to Spider-Man, not
right,
Spider-Man 4 to Dare. Yeah. So hopefully that means that yeah, it's gonna tie in or tie across a little bit more that way.
right. That they're keeping Spider-Man 4
More
more
grounded.
grounded. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's wow. D'Onofrio? Did he let that one slip a little bit, or
He is one of
did
the
he get?
people I feel like who does kind of let stuff
Yeah.
slip. He's very good at his interviews, and he knows just the right amount to say,
Hmm.
I feel like. But that does mean that sometimes he says something a little bit more.
It's so funny. I think some of those actors, some of the people that are working with Marvel and acting for their movies and shows, it's almost like I won't say deathly afraid, but they are like legitimately afraid to let something out of the bag,
Mhm,
right? Because I remember Sebastian Stan he was in an interview, and he was just mentioning how like nervous he gets on
mhm.
interviews because when he gets those questions asked, he's just
Yeah,
always second guessing his answers because whether he can do it or not. And you got like Harrison Ford, Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, Tom Holland's just a loose mouth. Um,
same with Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo. Some just don't care as much, and some just don't pay attention
Oh,
to what they're
yeah,
saying. So,
yeah. I think D'Onofrio says stuff specifically. And the quote actually is that Fisk makes a reference to a kid dressed as a spider in a spider costume.
oh, okay,
So, but we'll move on from that to
yep.
talk about the release schedule as we kind of know it thus far. Because what, it's 8 episodes or 9 episodes
Um,
for the first season?
well, according to here,
According to what I have listed out, we know the
there's
theoretical 6 episode, but that's not the full schedule.
yeah, it went from 12 to 9, I want to say.
It was originally 18.
Oh,
So it was originally 18,
right,
then it got split into two nine
2.
episode seasons.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Confirmed that on IMDb is what they expect. So March 4th, we're getting episodes 1 and 2. March 11th, episode 3. March 18th, episode 4. March 25th, episode 5 and 6. Then, I mean, just going off of that, I would assume that we would be looking at April 1st, getting an episode and April 8th getting two.
Because when does Thunderbolts come out?
Early May.
May 9th, I want to say.
Yes, that looks
So,
right.
oh, okay.
So there'd be a couple, like 2, 3 weeks in between there.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Second, actually.
May
So,
2nd. Okay.
yep. So yeah, it'd be a couple weeks in between.
So I think what they're trying to give a little bit of a gap, just
Hmm.
as they did with Captain America. I feel like there was a little bit of a, well, no, there wasn't. We had no gap.
Right.
Um,
Well,
but
but there hadn't been a live action show, really. And
right,
animation, I think, falls into a different piece of the mindset for Marvel.
sure. So I think what they're doing is they're trying to space it out so there's a little bit of a buffer there between Daredevil, the end of season 1,
Hmm.
and Thunderbolts Asterix, right? So and they must have just needed to chunk some episodes together and they just tried to find the right ones to fit.
Yeah. I'm wondering if episodes 5 and 6 will, like episode 5, maybe will feel like it's not a complete story, or like maybe it feels like a mini cliffhanger, and then episode 6 has the big cliffhanger that's leading the
Yeah,
mini cliffhangers leading up to, and they were just like, the mini cliffhanger feels kind of anticlimactic. So let's put the two of them together and really hit that big like crescendo.
right. 6 is a little bit weak. We feel that it's kind of has a weakness towards the end, so let's just
I mean, that'd be the flip of what I said, but
would be.
yeah, I
It's
said five's a little bit weak.
Oh, sorry. Not
Yeah.
so of the two that are put together in the same week,
Hmm.
5 is the first one. Five's ends a little weak. 6, right. So I'm
Yep.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that just seems like they just needed, and it could have been any of the episodes probably. Like it could maybe 1 and 2 could have felt like, 1 was a
Well,
good launch point, but 2 really would kind of capture the audience and keep them
yep.
in for the rest of the season. So, but in this case, it was 5 and 6. So,
Well, and they're doing 1 and 2 together as
oh yeah,
well.
that's right. That's
I,
right.
but I think Marvel probably is looking to do that fairly consistently now, is drop those 2 episodes at once to get people to kind of just really buy in and dive in.
Hmm.
It gives people, it's, it helps
sets the hook in fishing
Yes.
terms.
Yeah, it sets the hook and it also pushes back against the idea of binge watching a little bit. In
Mhm.
a lot of people wait until the whole series is out, then watch it all. But if you can start by saying, "Hey, I'm going to watch 2 episodes in a night," that's easier to, I think, get people hooked in earlier.
Yeah. I think the episodes on a weekly basis really help.
Yes.
Um,
It builds momentum so often.
it does because you have us and podcasters and other, YouTube channels that want to talk about it and break it down, and it creates a level of extra hype for the
Mhm.
next week. Um,
Well,
and
and you
it's
can
so
Yeah, and you have the word of mouth too. Like Agatha did not start out strong, but a lot of people were watching Agatha by the end.
yeah. Yep.
And so it's like it's to all the people who are making fun of Agatha at the beginning for doing really poor numbers. Well, they kind of got that wrong in the end.
Yeah. Right. It,
And so I think dropping those 2 episodes at once helps speed up like that buy-in and the excitement level too.
right. Yeah. It extends the euphoric crack cocaine that it is
Mhm.
unleashed, right? So just like, I don't know, that's a terrible way to put it, but it just it lets it sit there and grow on its own a little more naturally, I think. And the more that people can sit there and ponder it and
Hmm.
discuss it, I think it grows. The show
Hmm.
grows in people's minds and the viewers grow. So.
Yeah. So, one last piece of Daredevil Born Again news. And this one, I'm going to say spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers. Skip ahead about a minute or two. Um, and Greg, maybe you know slightly more if you've looked at this one at all. But Tony Dalton back as the swordman Jack Duquesne, uh,
I do
Jack
not
Duquesne.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know however it's pronounced, but from Hawkeye, that character back for Daredevil Born Again. Do you know if that is this season or is that for next season?
I do not know back as a swordsman. Interesting, because that was a Hawkeye thing.
Yeah, but again, ground level.
Yep.
Let's look at the Variety article here. Tony Dalton is reprising his role as the swordsman in 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. So that makes it sound like this season, which
Hmm.
good for Marvel keeping that under wraps until
Right?
right now.
Duquesne, I think is how you pronounce that.
Disney,
Um,
yeah.
that's
I'm excited for that. I loved his character.
yeah, I agree. He's the mustache twirling kind of
Hmm. That
uh
kind of villain, but maybe not a villain. Just
yeah.
like there's a little bit like Jack Sparrow to him.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Agreed. That's a
It's
very
like
good way
that's
to put it.
really fun.
Yeah.
So that is it for the news and rumors for today. We're going to be talking about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for the main topic. I did leave one piece of news for this segment because it is a spoiler for upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man stuff, and it made sense to talk about it here as we talk about that show going forward. But Greg, non-spoiler thoughts on the last 2 episodes, but then also the season as a whole.
Okay. So these last two episodes, great fight sequences, I thought. I anticipated that it was going to ramp up. That was kind of what we gathered from some previous in a previous podcast we talked about comicbook.com's. Well, he's not with them anymore, but Brandon Davis, one of the two. Sorry to butcher your name, sir. Um, how there was like these last two episodes were going to ramp up a little bit, right? And it was going to get really interesting, and it did. I thought they were, like I said, great fight scenes, the, a great twist, and it really kind of tied off the season for me, and I was pleasantly surprised. So
Yeah. No,
I'm excited for next season.
mhm. I'm with you. Like, I am really pleased with how they wrapped up the season, especially in episode 9. If you watched my video on, and this we'll get we'll talk about it more in spoilers. There's one element of episode 10 that I like what they did, but it always makes me ask a few questions and just the implications of certain things. But yeah, it was really fun. And as a whole, like this vastly exceeded my expectations. And I will say this as I think about it, I'm not sure that I think it's a better show than X-Men 97 or like a better first season than X-Men 97, but I might be more apt to watch this first season again.
Hmm.
And I think that every episode in this season, X-Men 97 is the show, or I should maybe put it this way. X-Men 97 is the show that has the worst episode out of all, or out of all, however many episodes that were there, and all 10 here. Like the Mojo
Yeah.
um, Life Death Part 1 episode is by far the weakest out of like any episode across both of these shows. So
Yeah.
I it's real close between those two.
Between
I- The
the Mojo
in
and the Life Death
no no
one.
well that was the same episode.
I thought it was Life Death was the Storm one. Or no, that was the
Yes,
same one. You're right. That
yeah,
was together. Sorry, there we
yep.
go.
So no, what I meant is it's for both season ones. They are very going to be very close in my rankings
Okay. Okay.
when all is said and done. Uh, so like this is just a really strong show that's very fun to watch.
Yeah. Um, what I really liked about it is how they really didn't they got very creative, I feel.
Yes.
And they had good character arcs that didn't exactly go in the direction that you thought they would, nor
Yep.
wanted them to. Um, and they had it was grounded. It was modernized problems and issues
Hmm.
and but had a lot of heart in it too. So
Yep.
yep. I was pleasantly surprised and
Spoilers.
yeah, let's
Spoilers,
talk about them.
spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers.
Good, because I didn't know what else to say. Um, I was gonna say in episode 9, it was quite a bit of it was just an ongoing like fight.
Hmm.
So I was like 75% like battle. Which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was a good battle sequence too. It was like well done, and shifting because
mhm.
you start out with it's the 110th versus the police, then it's the 110th versus the Scorpions, then it's the 110th and Spider-Man versus Scorpions, and in particular, it gets down to Lonnie and who's been gassed
Yeah,
and given his tombstone superpowers, and Spider-Man against Gargan the Scorpion.
right. And I'll say in that battle sequence when Spider-Man leaps to the building.
Hmm.
And what you get is the viewpoint from inside of a window. Like you see his web splat against the window. I think he comes and he sticks to the window, Spider-Man does. And then you get to see Scorpion's tail come and bust through the window right at you.
Hmm.
It was such an interesting and fun shot that I had not really seen a comic book or animation show do. It seemed very show like live action show kind of
Hmm.
thing. And so I thought just things like that nuance of creativity and viewpoints was really fun. And Peter, in that battle, he was like second guessing himself. And
Hmm.
I really liked that where he got real normalized real quick and you felt
Yes.
it, right? Like they kind of did the take the mask off. It's just Peter, like they visually give you that. And then he's kind of sweating it out and trying to think whether he can do this because here comes Scorpion, the guy that just kicked his ass in like, the previous
Hmm.
episodes. So, yeah,
And just thinking about what Norman had told him.
yep. And I didn't expect Lonnie to step in like that, I guess. Um
I I mean, I think I did. Um, like which way do you mean? Like it teaming up with Spider-Man
um
or taking leadership of the 110?
I would say t not taking leadership, but just him and Spider-Man joining
Yeah.
joining together to defeat the Scorpion.
To me, that made sense
It
because,
it made sense. I just didn't really see it coming. Like I thought that Lonnie was down probably for the count on that one for the most part. I thought it'd be somebody else that stepped in and reminded
Mhm.
him kind of who, like if it was like Nico or I don't know, maybe it was Harry steps in. I
Right.
don't know. So
I like that it was Lonnie, though,
I
because
do
it
too.
still shows that Lonnie is on the trajectory to being Tombstone. He's not fully there, but every episode he's taking more and more steps.
Right. You're getting the full ride though with it. That's what I
Yes.
like. It's not
Hmm.
like you just jumped in and now you're seeing the long thought out process about what's going on with him, which I think is
Hmm.
really cool.
Super
And it's going
awesome.
to be really, I guess it makes it a little bit easier for me to then feel okay with him being a villain,
Hmm.
I'm be like, okay, because if it would have just jumped in and like he became Tombstone and he was angry coming out of that truck, and like he
Yeah.
was not helping Spider-Man and I don't know, whatever gas he inhaled, changed his mental
Yep.
chemistry up there too. I would have been like, oh,
Yeah. It's like
it would have been a letdown.
yeah, they had already put in so much work on kind of this descent and journey for Lonnie that to just rush that end would not
Yeah,
have felt right.
yeah. So that was a pleasant surprise as well.
Hmm. And
Um,
then just
yeah.
to kind of finish off kind of Lonnie's arc after at the end of episode 10, you see him, well, a couple different things. He's talking about how he's going to get his GED and that he's going to get an internship at this new company, Web. We'll talk about more about Web later. But he also, we see the physical change start with his
Hmm.
hands are starting to kind of taking on that chalkier gray color. But
Right.
we also really see that he's taken leadership of the 110th.
And they've
And
taken to him as well. Like he
yes,
walked away and they followed. So
yes, after Big Don
that
ran,
just
that was
he's
great.
he's gonna go to law school or something, I guess
Yeah.
now. Maybe they'll do the character arc that I think originally was. He was a lawyer, I think, in the comics. So
But Lonnie also tosses away his Letterman jacket.
yeah.
And so it's showing this nice kind of full break from the high school student to, yeah, he's saying that he's going to do these other things, but what is that going to look like? And he's clearly now just as much of anything that leader of the 110th.
Hmm. Um, let's talk Nico.
Hmm.
Do you think that she knows she seems to grab her necklace often.
Yes.
So I think she's aware of her powers and that
I,
there's a secret that she has. And for a
hmm.
while there I wasn't really sure. But it seems like there is something that she's got some ability that she already is aware of to me.
Yes.
So
Yes. 100%.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of point that out. Like it seems at first I wasn't so sure, but um and leading into I guess and continuing on with Nico, she can throw a punch, which I thought
Hmm.
was hilarious because when they kind of Peter
They
comes down
tease
afterwards, yeah, the famous
tease this.
kiss,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
she just clocks him.
Clocks him. It's great.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I think also, I believe Osborn and Peter they talk at the end of this, right, of this episode, and he's like kind of telling Norman Osborn, he's like, I don't really, I almost took it too far. Like I almost killed
Hmm.
this guy, and it's really manipulative what Norman does. I feel it's a
Hmm.
manipulation, right? He says but you didn't. You stayed true to who you kind of are. And it's funny because I think Osborn wants to push him there,
Yep.
but he doesn't want to be the reason to push him. He's just there to kind of give him a little nudge now and again. And,
Yes.
and so I thought that was very interesting. But I
Hmm.
definitely feel like there's more of that Norman Osborn manipulation, evil
Yes.
plot oozing through.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah, and then he loses that chance to really continue to push and support Peter in episode 10, but
Mhm.
we'll talk about. Actually, should we start talking about episode 10
Yeah.
now? Is anything else from episode 9?
No, I think that was all I had. Let me check one other place. Let's see. I could probably leave that to the end. Wait, was the episode 10 have Norm and Octavius talking? Was that in 10?
I forget if that was 10 or 9. But yeah, we should talk about that conversation too, because that is a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah. It's that,
It's it's not really even a conversation.
yeah. And so there's something like Norman he's obviously lacking in confidence somehow, but
hmm
because he goes there really just to
Gloat.
gloat. Yeah. Um, and Otto is not having it. Doesn't seem, and he kind of pushes back, and it was very fair. But they seem to really just want to get under each other's skin, right?
Oh yeah.
And I didn't really quite pick that out, but I'm wondering how that friendship, not friendship, that uh how that unravels a little bit later in season two, which I think will, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I
Uh,
think it really speaks to this idea that Norman is a person with a ton of money, and he's good at manipulating people and kind of a smooth talker, but
mhm.
he's feeling the weight of the fact that he isn't the brilliant mind for
Right.
this. He isn't the superpowered character in this. He's just the guy with a lot of money that can throw at people and tell them to do other things, and he's not getting fulfilled by that. And so he shows up to Doc Ock to gloat over it, basically being like, well, if you had just let me take credit and kind of do all these things up front, you could have still had a job, and I got all your stuff anyways.
Yeah. To go out of your way for that,
hmm
it's
It
going to be
speaks,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
how
it
that
speaks so much
unravels.
to that character.
Yeah. And I love Doc Ock's just kind of
He's studying up law after the fact.
yeah. He's whiny, but like at the same time very confident in himself. And I don't know. I just think his character is hilarious and really well
Mhm.
played. Um,
Yes.
let's see. Before we get to the big thing, let me see if there's anything else.
Yeah, the final episode just kind of jumps in with the big
Yeah.
thing, and then there's a whole bunch to unpack after, and kind of that third act teases for the next season. There's a whole lot to talk about there, but let's talk about the grandfather paradox of it all.
Yeah, the Ouroboros, basically. That
hmm
it's so man, I didn't see that coming.
hmm
Not even close.
Yeah. Uh, I guess probably the one thing that we maybe should mention is we see Osborn sitting down with all kind of the head scientists, head of the various departments, and we hear Bentley talking about how they're getting close to like recreating the Spider-Man, like the spider situation based
Right.
off of Peter's blood and everything, which they managed to do, but then it turns out that what the interns have been working on the whole time, which three of the four of the interns didn't realize. I do love how Amadeus knew
Just
from early on
right.
that it was creating this portal basically to space. And based off of Asha's mapping, not complete mapping at this point, mind you, but just assumed empty space out there, Norman boots up this machine to open up an opening to that, and we get Doctor Strange showing up, which is
Eh,
hilarious.
yeah. And then it gets hinted at, right, that see so Peter ends up showing up, right? Like after the portal opens,
Well, all
we
the interns are there
yeah,
for this kind of grand reveal. And
and then we have a symbiote show up.
yep, yes.
Which is the symbiote that shows up in episode one.
hmm
And
And
this is, yeah, I was completely caught off guard. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's back. Why is it back? And
then,
then
yeah, Norman
it,
makes some comment about, I think before the symbiote shows up, about how, why should I trust you? You destroyed a school. And Doctor Strange is like, huh?
yeah, like what are you talking about? Like I've never been there.
Yeah.
So I just can't wrap my head around how if they do anything with this. Like, do they give us answers for this Ouroboros, or do they just leave it as is? And this is just a point that we move forward from,
Hmm.
and we don't really get because Strange was there to stop him, right? So
Yep, just
Strange knew something was going to happen,
hmm.
but it seems like whatever he thought was going to happen, it messed with time.
So
And maybe that's the reaction to the action that he took,
yeah.
which caused this whole thing.
Well, I think that like Strange sensed some sort of problem was going to occur and maybe use the time stone to look ahead and see that, oh, if I don't show up to stop this, whether that be once the portal's open or really to try and stop this from try and stop the portal from being opened, then, well, it's like something really bad is going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm assuming which would be the symbiotes because we see the one come through and then we see that there's a whole bunch more right behind there.
yeah.
And I think it would be like just a venom, a symbiote incursion, basically, that would have occurred, which would have been an absolute disaster.
So will this come full circle, you think, by end of season three? Like it's the ultimate, like what we're trying to get to is the thing that Strange was trying to stop.
No, I don't think so. I think that Strange did stop it to at least some extent. Obviously, there's the hint of there's a little piece of the symbiote that Norman finds at the end,
Yeah. So,
but I don't know. I don't think it's going to fully go into like there's some cataclysmic venom event that occurs. I don't think that this series is going to go there.
yeah, okay. I'm just trying to think, did he stop what he actually was there to stop, I guess. I
I think
mean,
he I
probably
think he
did.
did, but I think there were unintended consequences of it, mainly releasing the spider, which then goes through the portal when the symbiote attacks him while he's trying to spin back time to undo some stuff that the symbiote has done in this laboratory and accidentally falls through into the past with the spider.
So, but I think so at the end, Peter says things that are supposed to happen, or wait, things that yeah are supposed to happen always find a way to happen.
Right.
So sometimes I it feels to me that
That
no
I
matter
think
what he was trying to stop, it's still going to happen. Therefore, the thing that's strange was there to stop, it still happened, just in a
I
different way.
I don't think that's the case. I think it that line was referring to Peter. Like it's kind of the omniscient
Oh, it was
line of
totally about Peter, right?
right.
And what he was talking about was about Peter and the way it was supposed to happen.
Hmm.
I mean, in whatever way it happens, it always ends up happening.
Right.
So it's kind of an explanation for that, or a way to tie
Yeah.
a bow on that. But it would to me also a great way to make this a solid if it's three seasons only is you come back to that same thing at the beginning of the symbiote chunk now that fell through is going to cause the same problem that originally happened that Doctor Strange was there to stop in the first place.
Yeah. I so I can see where you're coming from with that. I think that could be interesting to do. However, we need to then get that exposition from Strange, probably already have gotten it, of no, you don't know what you're messing with. There's something on the other side that is going to come through, and we needed some more exposition around that. Otherwise, I don't think
Well,
it
you got
will.
season two. I mean,
Yeah.
season two could.
Yes, but I think there's other spots they can go for season two, especially with everything else that they teased at the end of this, that it feels like it would be a bit much, unless I guess maybe you have Strange come back in season three and as events are starting to happen and be like, I thought I stopped this.
Right. Yeah.
Something
It's
like that.
it's not going to be something that's surface level. It's just kind of like undertone, like the things that are happening throughout season two and I guess through
Hmm.
some of season three are what culminate and create this thing that happens at the end of season three that ties back to the beginning of episode one, season one.
Yeah.
That's just in my head. It would tie together nicely in that sense. But
Yeah.
are they doing
I
that? I have no clue. I'm just
yeah.
thinking that that's maybe what they could do.
Maybe I
Is
do
that too?
think I think it's a little bit too big. I think people will have kind of forgotten about some of that, and by the end, and there's not there's kind of this they're tying it back to this idea that something might be happening, and this kind of ambiguous line that really seems to be more about Spider-Man than it is about Strange. And so I think this is one of those situations where probably the simplest solution is probably the right one, where Strange is purely just talking about Spider-Man, or like the quote is around
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
I still think it is about Spider-Man and that
Hmm.
for what where it is being mentioned and what Peter's saying, but overall it could be used as the, you know,
Yeah.
what happens in the show. Again, it has to probably happen within 3 seasons, but
Yes.
either way.
Yep. No, and yeah, I think that this may lead more to Green Goblin, like Green Goblin becoming the big villain at for season three than
Okay.
anything, like the Venom symbiote being used with part of the experimentations to create something.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, well, I mean, I wonder if they'll do something a little different than that, but it does seem like that is the direction that they'll go. I just don't know if that's going to be the big thing at the end. So,
Mhm. Yeah, but so I do want to talk a little bit about this grandfather paradox and how I I like how they told this story. I thought it was a really good story that they told, but at the same time, it always then, when you have somebody being their own grandfather, it always then bugs me for the question of, do the characters have actual choice then? Because it's the time travel thing
mhm.
of, if you go back in time to stop something from happening, and you can change the timeline to stop that thing from happening, then by that logic, you won't have gone back in time to stop that thing from happening because it didn't happen, which means that thing happens, if that makes sense.
I oddly I followed that. Yes.
Hmm. That's why we've moved up the time that we record these podcasts, so get a
Yeah. So
slightly
that
more with it, Greg.
yeah. It was again in the contract. I had to make an amend the contract a little bit.
Yeah. But to me, I think that means that there's elements about this event that are fixed point. And so that it's kind of like the Doctor Strange Christine thing,
Right.
where no matter what, he can't save Christine. In this case, no matter what Doctor Strange does to try and stop whatever Norman's doing, it's always going to lead to the point where the spider goes back in time and bites Peter. And so
Mhm.
it is this uniquely fixed point event, which means that other things can be changed around it, but this event always has to occur, which gives the characters still free will. It's not all just predestined to go a certain way, but creates the moments where things have to occur.
So did you like this ending or this
Yes,
twist?
I did like the twist. It always to me begs the question of, is everything predetermined
Yeah,
then with this sort of
fair.
paradox? So,
It just gets real tricky to
yes.
because you're kind of bound in there once you make that decision. Um,
And
but
then
yeah,
that's why I think you can say it's a fixed point.
yeah, you could. That's yeah,
Simple. It takes care of it.
yeah. Uh, I really loved it. I loved that I didn't see it coming. I loved
Hmm.
that it took us there, and I just liked at the end how he did say, he kind of glossed over it with his whatever happens or whatever is supposed to happen will eventually happen, or and maybe just in a different way. It almost was like it stopped me from questioning for some reason, and I don't know why in this show it stopped me from questioning, maybe because it's animation. But if it was in a movie, I'd be like, oh, that's BS. I don't like that. But this one, I was like, okay, if they don't really address this
Hmm.
outside of what has already been addressed, I'm okay with that for some
Yep.
reason. And I don't know
Yep.
why. It just was okay. It was fine.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I'd have had more of an issue with it if Marvel hadn't already introduced the idea of those fixed events that
Hmm.
can't change,
Yeah.
because it takes away my one complaint about it. So, Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. And then we get so many little teases and nods for things. We talked about Lonnie's, and I mentioned Webb in there, but Webb is a business that Harry is starting for young scientists
Hmm.
to basically work in a think tank kind of environment and see what they can create. Um, Basically competing against his dad, which I'm
Right.
sure is going to work real well.
Right. There could be some harsh feelings there.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's going to be that manipulative encouragement, then undertones of I'm going to defeat you in your
Yep.
stupid web business, right? So,
Yep. Yeah. I like that. I like how it was Nico's idea, and then she realized what she had done,
right.
created this
Oh my God.
big
I'm part of corporate
organization.
America all of a sudden.
Yep.
It's just it's like it's almost like what happens with grunge rock in the night. Like I was watching
Hmm.
Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine and Billy Corgan. This is completely left field. It does kind of make sense. There's Billy Corgan was interviewing Tom Morello, and they were saying how they what they were doing as their bands got bigger and had more influence, they always felt bad about that because they were becoming these entities that were exactly the thing that they were kind of rebelling out against, and so that's kind of I feel like kind of similar in the sense of what we're talking about, but
Yes.
um, yeah. Anyways, it's a good interview, by the way. Um, and I don't know where to take it from there. I have zero segue to go from that, from that. I'm just gonna say I loved the show. I thought it was really fun. And
Yep.
was
Yeah.
I scratching at the bit every Wednesday to see the next episode? More so towards the end of the season,
Yes.
but um even though I wasn't like it's not like what I'm the feelings I'm having like what I am with Severance or that I had with Wanda Vision or Agatha, it still was really good, and it just gives me a lot of hope and excitement for other animation stuff to come out. So,
Yes, 100% agree with that. And let's talk about then those other characters as well, who we get teases for and little conversation things about. So you teased it a little bit earlier, but let's talk about Nico. Nico is casting a spell in her house after the conversation with Peter about how he feels good about not having secrets with her anymore. Um, and she's contacting her mother. What do you think that means for that character in particular?
contacting her mother. Was there like a post-credit scene? Now I'm like
No,
wondering.
that was the scene. She she summons up a spirit or something. We don't see the spirit, we don't see anything like that. We just see her casting the spell, and calls and she says "mom" with it. So,
I'm like seriously second guessing whether I watched the end of this episode fully or if I passed out. I I feel like I remember this sort of, but I don't remember well, either way, if she's okay, I'll just pretend that I remember this. Um yeah, is her mom and dad locked in this necklace?
No, no. Like
S-
she is casting a spell separate from a spell book, separate from the necklace.
Okay.
Most likely, it's that if the storyline of the Runaways has occurred in this world, that her parents, who were part of this evil group who were sacrificing people to appease or to create this uh, situation where the apocalypse could occur and they would be saved. It's a wild story. That her parents were likely killed when the runaways stopped them. And so she's contacting her mother probably now to fully try and understand what her powers are and what's going on. And she's probably been doing that for a little bit.
Okay. Oh,
But how do you think that plays into the future?
I
Obviously, we're
don't
going to have some moment where her powers are revealed.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on this. Really, I saw it. I'm like, okay, she's got abilities. That's kind of how I took it apart. And then I don't really know what else to do with it.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts? Give me something because I'm struggling.
No, I'm going to let you just hang on and struggle
Just
there.
dangle.
Yeah. Uh, Now, I think this is going to be an element of the story that is more, it's less focused on her powers. It's going to be more focused on her and her interaction with Peter and just how they can trust each other. Can they trust each other? Um, and eventually, how do they work together? Like, can both of them finally not have any more secrets out there?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now, and okay, I did watch this. I just completely forgot about it. Um, yeah, I think we definitely will get to the point where the secrets are out, and I wonder how Peter will take that.
Hmm.
Would he shove it back in the face kind of the same way and need some time to process? Probably not. I don't think so. Seems
Yeah, I
kind of
don't
lame.
think so.
But it's definitely
Yeah, I think it's going to probably be a case where something goes awry with Nico's magic. And she either tries to cast the same spell for a second time, and that causes an
that's right.
issue,
Yeah,
or because I do think like the spells from the spell book are different from the spells from the Staff of One. Uh, or it could be something with how she contacts her mother. It causes an issue at the foster home somehow, and Peter goes to deal with whatever that monster, that thing might be. And yeah, I do think it's going to be handled differently. I think there's going to be that moment of, I want to, like, Peter's just going to be like, you're my best friend. I want to help you. Like, that's the most important thing to me. And if you ever feel like there's something weird going on, you're in over your head, you're gonna try doing something like this again, let me know. I want to be there for you. I want to be there with you for it.
yeah. I also think maybe that this is what she says is it's nice to see you again. It's been a long time, or whatever
Hmm.
Nico says. So it implies that she's done this before.
Yes.
So it's also possible that that thing that she just did that we see, you know, basically has a negative reaction as it can, right, with her.
Hmm.
So I understand that you're thinking maybe it could be separate from her, the staff of one or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
and that power, but maybe it's not, and maybe this is where things get really like something weird just goes down.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it's it's to jump us into that rather than having us see the first spell and then the second spell. We're just jumping right into the second spell,
Yep.
the same one that she's tried before, and then we see what happens, uh, how
Uh,
things kind of can go really
mhm.
wonky from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do that or if they do keep it separate from the Staff of One and be
yeah,
like, this is a
yeah.
different piece of magic. Because I don't think the only magic she can cast is from the Staff of One.
Yeah, it would be good to kind of define that, I guess,
Hmm.
her ability outside of the staff of one,
Hmm.
and her abilities there. So I could see him doing it that way.
Yeah. Then I'm trying to think who else character wise. I guess is the we already talked about Norman with the symbiote.
Yep.
So the only remaining one, and then I do have a couple other things of note to talk about, is Aunt May. Aunt May goes to talk to Peter's father, who is in prison.
Right. And that's not Ben.
No, that is not
Ben
Ben.
dies, right?
Ben dies. Ben is dead. That is Peter's father who is in prison. And interesting tidbit from New Rockstars did an interview with Jeff Trammell, which is phenomenal. It's a
Oh,
lot
I
of
didn't get
fun.
to watch it. I really wanted to watch it before
He's a
this, but
great interview, and he's just having fun there. Like you
yeah.
can clearly see he is someone who just has fun with this. And but he says that Peter knows his father is in prison. So this
Okay.
is not like a secret thing, but which to me says two things about it. One, oftentimes Peter's parents are like kind of spies, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And so this, to me, since Peter knows his father is there, it means that that's not the case. This isn't something undercover.
Right. He was
Uh,
blamed for something, probably,
he
put in
was blamed
jail
for
for.
something, or he did something, because it was a little bit stressful, I would say, kind of that conversation that May and
Yeah.
Peter's dad had. And it was, yeah. But I'm curious to know how that will play out. I wonder if it's going to be something, maybe something even because his dad often is a scientist as well. They're studying something.
Hmm.
So it be a situation where he did something wrong, he knew it was wrong, and he became like a whistleblower against Oscorp?
Yeah.
against Doc
Tobacco
Ock,
agent, tobacco companies.
mhm, whatever it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
But so maybe it ties into something that way too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is interesting. It's interesting because I'm just now kind of going through different scenarios of where he could fit in, how he'll
Hmm.
fit into the story, because I'm sure he'll come back around in some way
Hmm.
or form. But that was that was a fun little reveal and
Yes.
tease to do that because I like now with that, do we have too many plots happening? There's a lot. For me, I'm good at this.
Hmm.
I worry a little bit about expanding beyond this
Yeah.
because I mean we have Lonnie, we have Nico's stuff, Harry
Hmm.
and Norman, Norman and Peter. We have all these different things happening,
Hmm.
like and I'm wondering are they going to be able to juggle them well
Yeah.
enough?
Yep.
So,
Well, and I think they have a character who was, from what we knew, was supposed to be in this season, but wasn't, that could
hmm
help pull all those things together in a lot of ways. Like the 110th and Doc Ock in particular, like the two I'm thinking of. Kingpin can come in.
right, where was he?
He wasn't there at all. And from what we knew, he was supposed to be. And
Yeah,
this is not just a rumor thing. I believe this was from at D23 when they were talking about all the characters who were going to
yeah.
be in the show.
IMDb had him in there too,
Yeah.
like which I'm not, that doesn't
Yeah.
make it canon or whatever, but
Hmm.
like it says something.
Hmm.
So that never happened.
Yep. And I wonder if in season two, what we're going to see is like the Scorpions are kind of in disarray. Gargan is in prison now, and he's probably going to end up in the same prison as like a Doc Ock. And is that the same prison that Peter's dad is in? And do we have then Kingpin break them out? Or do we have Norman do something? Um, but I think we could have Kingpin kind of break them out and bring them underneath him, or at least a little bit. Um, but also we could have Kingpin as the I'm taking over this territory of the 110th and have that be part of the story. But Kingpin takes over the territory in a very different way than Gargan was trying to. Kingpin is like, you already have a presence here. You're doing good work. I don't want to displace you. I want you to work for me, sort of storyline. And
Mhm.
Lonnie can see it as this bigger thing. It's like, I understand how fearsome everyone can be, and the 110th was just kind of a small fry, like gang for our street, protected our street. But now we have eyes on us because we beat Gargan. There's going to be other people gunning for us. Kingpin offers us protection and a chance that way.
That's
Can something grow?
possible.
And then
I
I could
was
even,
Go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah, you got
I
it. Go ahead.
could even see Kingpin funneling money into Oscorp too. Like, okay, Norman, you're in trouble. You need some success after this debacle. Showing up on the news everywhere. You're probably going to lose some of your government contracts. Let me get you uh, up and running again, but I'm going to need you to do a few little things for me, like run some of my money through your business to make it look legit, my money be legit, but also I know that you've worked with Spider-Man. He was there. I know that all these things are happening, so I want you to work with me for whatever those things might look like. And that could be where we start to get things like Sinister Six showing
Right.
up, stuff like
That was
that.
what I was gonna say was Sinister Six. I mean, if Osborn continues to work on these little side projects, if he's got Octavius's Doc Ock's tech now, can he
Hmm.
make I mean, and I guess if he recruits Lonnie still, maybe and pulls him in and gets that truck, or maybe they got the truck. I don't know, but I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
of you got like Chameleon that can come in, you got Rhino that can come in, and you got, I don't know, like Vulture or so, I don't know.
Yep.
Like these
Plenty.
different
Yep.
experiments, right, that could happen. And so that's kind of what I was thinking too. Is there going to be a Sinister Six coming down the pipe? But yeah, Kingpin, I could see Kingpin, doing his manipulative schemes and ways to kind of have his clutches on people, right, and
Yep.
use them. And so, yeah, there's lots of opportunity
Mhm.
there. So it's a
Yeah.
good setup. It's a good setup for
Yep.
another season.
And Kingpin feels like that character who can take those timeline or take those stories and kind of draw them together
Yeah,
again.
whether they all know it or not,
Right.
he could be managing them in different
hmm
arms, right?
Yeah.
So,
But as the audience will know it.
right.
And then how about the reveal of new character who's going to show up in season numero dos? Not part of the episode, if you're trying to remember it.
I was like, what? Wait, we
But
did talk
they
about this.
no,
No,
we
we didn't
didn't
talk about
cover.
this, but I did read this, I swear.
Yeah, I sent you the image.
Yes.
But they showed the first images of Gwen Stacy in this, and I think they very intentionally showed that backpack and showed the spider going into the backpack. So
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy's backpack. I
Yep.
think that's
I think that's who that is.
easy guess there.
What is she holding in that image, by the way? Was that just a no? That's an actual neighborhood Spider-Man one. She's got
Yes.
like a I thought it was a tennis ball at first. I'm like, that's not a tennis ball. It's like a little bomb or something. Or
hmm
um,
Something like that.
I like the look. Yeah, I'm excited
hmm
for that to come out. We're all kind
That's
of thinking that spider is going to
mhm.
show up somewhere. Somebody's going to bite somebody else.
Yep, that is such a great tease
Hmm.
for season two. Like, and the new Rockstar's break room interview occurred prior to this image being released, so they were asking him about it, or like, not about the spider necessarily. I think they did touch on that, and he was just kind of wishy-washy on it,
Hmm.
as you would be if you had a plan for that already. But they're like, "Are we gonna ever see like other spider folks, stuff like that?" She's like, maybe sooner than you'd think." And then literally the next day, that image drops.
Yeah, I gotta watch that interview.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
hmm
They already got work started on this one, right? On the season
Yep.
two.
I believe the expectation is next year for it
Sweet,
to come out.
sweet, sweet.
So I am stoked for season two. I'm I may be more excited for season two of this than I am for season two of X-Men 97.
Interesting. Okay. It sure it's not like because you just got off the show.
Some of it is, I'm sure, a little bit recency bias, where I'm
That's
excited to
what,
see
yeah.
what continues from there. But this, like I said, I'm more apt to go back and watch this show again than X-Men 97 season one
Hmm?
because this one's just more fun to watch.
Yes, it is. It's a little lighter, you know?
hmm
Um, yeah, I am a little shocked by how much, even just after talking about it tonight, just how much I'm looking forward to that second season.
hmm
It was not super high on my like excitement
hmm
list prior to seeing this, so I was like, well, I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
be fine. But
it was our,
it was
yeah,
good. It was
yeah.
really
For
good.
both of us, it was our lowest animated show, or second lowest animated show. Both of us had Marvel Zombies lower.
Hmm.
And I think out of the nine things that are coming out this year, it was bottom three for both of us.
Yeah.
And honestly, it may end up as top three.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
mean,
legit shot,
yeah.
which is
Ah,
crazy and awesome to say. Like, it's always disappointing when Marvel has something that's huge and we're really excited for. Quantum Mania is a good example. I don't think Quantum Mania is a bad movie. I was just so excited for that it missed at a good chunk of, like, a number
yeah.
of times.
Yeah.
It took shots and it just kind of missed. And then to have this where I was like low expectations coming in, I expected it to be fun. I didn't expect it to be anything more than that. To come out of it being like, man, I am so excited for season two.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Yep. Agreed.
And yeah, but with that, thanks for listening. If you have your thoughts on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, drop them in the comments section over on YouTube. Search for 10 Minute Marvel. Find the podcast there that you can comment on. And next week, to tease, we're going to be talking about something that I think was hinted at the need for it a few times in Captain America Brave New World. We're going to talk through and build out what Sam Wilson's new Avengers team is going to look like because the old Avengers team isn't there anymore. So that's going to be our main topic for next week. So hope you join us for that then. And again, we just want to say thank you to everybody who's checking out the podcast. We really appreciate it, and appreciate all the new people who are finding the YouTube channel and the podcast, whether there or wherever you get your Friendly Neighborhood podcast from. Break every few ways you could find the podcast at the beginning. It helps support us. But we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdologists. The funds go to help improve the quality of this podcast, as well as the Multiple Equals YouTube channel, 10 Minute Marvel YouTube channel, and nerdologist.com website. But with that, we'll see you next time.
Adios.